A very good evening to you, dear viewers. Hello and welcome to a new edition of Business Insider. I'm your host for tonight, Mohammed Abdirahim, and tonight we'll be talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and how can Egypt benefit from being now an official member of the BRICS, and the BRICS Plus, this huge gathering that combines some of the leading countries in AI globally, such as China, India, Russia, and others. That will be our main topic here for tonight, and we are delighted to have with us here in the studio Dr. Naveen Makram-Labib, and she is the Vice President of the Egyptian Society for Information Systems and Computer Technology. A very good evening to you, Dr. Naveen. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Allow me, Dr. Naveen, and allow us, dear viewers, first to watch a report about our main topic for tonight, and then we'll come back and start our discussion. Please stay with us.
Egypt, represented by the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, participated in the 10th BRICS Communication Ministers meeting in September. The meeting themed sovereignty via interconnectivity, finding a balance, focus on expanding cooperation in the digital economy, information and communication technologies within BRICS. It concluded with a declaration outlining key principles, common approaches and areas for collaboration on artificial intelligence technologies, digital capability development, and ensuring equal access to digital infrastructure. It is worth noting that the ministry participated in several preparatory meetings over the past few months since Egypt joined BRICS in January 2024. In a similar vein, the Digital BRICS Forum also was held in September to discuss the application of artificial intelligence technologies and strategies for enhancing digital capabilities and infrastructure. The event brought together government officials, business leaders, digitalization experts, and representatives from the educational sector. An exhibition showcasing high-tech companies, including residents of the Innopolis Special Economic Zone, also was held as part of the forum. Participants attending the Digital Forum discussed the development of the BRICS member states in artificial intelligence, digital competencies, and digital infrastructure.
Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching Business Insider, and we're talking about the opportunities Egypt can get in the field of AI, artificial intelligence, by joining the BRICS group, and the challenges as well. And we are doing this in the company of our dear guest, Vice President of the Egyptian Society for Information Systems and Computer Technology, Dr. Naveen Makram-Labib. Now, Dr. Naveen, Egypt now officially a member of the BRICS. This is a group that has some of the leading countries in the field of AI, artificial intelligence, like China, like India, like Russia. So how can Egypt benefit from joining this group in light of two things, and of course I would like you to add, but in light of two parameters or axes: one, the sustainable development goals, Egypt's vision for 2030, and two, in light of Egypt's national strategy for the development of AI that was created 5 years ago.
Okay, let's talk first of all about the AI strategy. So here we're talking about a long-term plan and some stages. And in order to be able to implement all of these stages, we need to be, first of all, ready. That's why we have what we call the e-readiness, or how can the enterprise and the country be ready to implement artificial intelligence. So here we're talking about a budget, of course. We're talking about some infrastructure. We're talking about talented people. We're talking about having governance, AI governance, the ethics, the framework, the regulations, and all of these requirements. So definitely we can benefit from the BRICS because we have some cooperation with them. So speaking of, for example, the infrastructure development, we can share some resources, such as the data center. And there is already an initiative to share these centers. Of course, we will have the data privacy as a main challenge, but we'll be able to access important data and to conduct important projects.
Through the data sharing initiatives that BRICS oversees.
Like, for example, working on having some vaccines for the COVID-19, and this started in 2020. Like now what we're doing is in the frame of the drug discovery. So we definitely need to share some data in a formal and legal way, of course.
Yeah.
And we need also to share other resources, such as cloud computing resources in general. We have many initiatives with them, so we can do kind of an exchange for our researchers, because we have, again, another initiative related to universities. How can we as professors and as researchers benefit out of the knowledge transfer and the knowledge sharing? We're talking also about the AI Academy. They have an institution. So we can have many virtual courses here that will enable us to be ready for the market, the global market, of course.
We'll try to discuss each and every point you mentioned and more here in the program, but I want to ask you first, how far have we gone in our national strategy program?
Actually,
5 years on.
Okay, we started in November 2019, and now we're kind of revising and going for the second stage with special focus groups, like a group related to healthcare, the AI applications in healthcare, another group related to agriculture, a third group related to education, and so on. So it's a very good strategy now to benefit from other countries' experience in order to go for the second stage of the AI national strategy.
And of course, there is no one model fits all, right? I mean, each country would have its own model, I guess. Or...
Definitely, yes. But again, we can benefit from their experience.
For sure.
Whether we're talking about success stories or lessons learned. As we say, there is no bad experience. It's called the lesson learned. So you will know that this model does not fit the country.
Okay. Obviously, AI, as many other sciences, aim in the end, to improve the quality of life for mankind and to achieve some noble goals, important goals, like the Sustainable Development Goals. So how can AI in general serve the 17 SDGs?
Okay, it has applications in each and every SDG. Like, for example, if you talk about education, I was just having a lecture and giving a keynote speech about how we can have sustainable education in our country. So we can make use of many AI applications, for example, to serve the students who have some learning difficulties. Some other students who have, like, for example, autistic students, or students that have Down syndrome. We can serve many special needs students because we'll go for a customized learning. So we're talking here about, it's as if you're having a personal tutor for each student or for each learner.
And that tutor will be a robot soon? I mean,
it can be a system, it doesn't have to be a robot. For the autistic students, we need a robot so as to make them to enable them to be in a classroom. Because again, in Egypt, we're talking nowadays about social inclusion. So with social inclusion, we've got to present kind of a personalized learning experience for each learner.
And in the field of education, a very important field here, and AI serving education, where can Egypt exactly benefit from its membership in the BRICS? How best can it benefit?
Many areas. So, for example, the agricultural applications, because we already have many agricultural applications that make use of AI technologies. Education in general.
Yeah, I want to stay with education. I mean, how specifically in detail, how can we benefit from joining the group?
Okay, we can benefit out of being a member in the Institute of AI, because it starts all with education. So we as professors or as teachers or as people who are working in this field, we need to be updated. And as you see nowadays, that's very challenging for us. even for us as professors.
I was just going to say that, even for you,
Yeah, even
the
for
experts, yeah.
Exactly. When I teach AI, then I have to be ready to answer any question. And sometimes
You'll find a student here or there
Yeah.
that's really catching up and
exactly just
yeah.
telling me we just saw a video of Elon Musk.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, what do you think of this and that? What about this new technology? What about the ethics? We're scared of this technology. Now with China, we have many robots that are currently walking in the street. So what about the next scenario? So sometimes they're scared, and we have to be ready to answer all of their questions. So we as educators, first of all, we need to be educated in this AI institute so as to be ready with all the experience and to have the experience of other countries like China, for example, or Russia. So we're talking about
And
advanced
India.
countries. India, of course. Advanced countries in this field.
And speaking of education, again, you have something, they have something in the BRICS called BRICS Network University, right?
Exactly.
So how can also this be a tool for beneficial to all member states?
Exchange of university professors and researchers and assistants. And that's very important because when you get out of the country, then you get exposed to other cultures. And that's how you learn. So it's not only learning through having books or even virtual courses, but you need to go to different countries and see how things are implemented there. What about their challenges? How can you cope? What about the models? How can we customize these models to fit our needs in our country? So that's a very important way of knowledge sharing and transfer.
Right. Of course, any plan for development needs financing. So, and of course, the BRICS have this National Development Bank, the NDB, which is to help member states in many areas, including artificial intelligence, help finance them. So how important is the role of the NDB here, and how can Egypt benefit from that?
It's very important because with AI you need funds. You've got to have labs, software to educate your students. So definitely for these research projects, you definitely need funds. So it's good that we already have, or there is already a bank that is financing technological projects.
Yes. BRICS have data centers. So again, how can we benefit, and the member states in general benefit from the data, many data centers that BRICS has?
Okay. There is what we call the data sharing. So we need to share these data sets, but again, taking into consideration the data protection laws and regulations. So we're not going to invade anyone's data, but we need to learn from these data, especially that with AI, you've got to have large amounts of data so as to be able to apply the data analytics framework and to come up with some insights or predictive analytics that can be beneficial for the policymakers and the decision makers as well. And by the way, that's one of the main advantages, working on policies that will serve the implementation of artificial intelligence. Sometimes when we try to implement AI, we're faced with some policies that are not really supportive, if I may say.
Okay. I'll get back to that. You mentioned some health applications for AI where the group, all member states of the group can benefit from. You also gave us a hint about agricultural projects. What about industrial schemes?
Okay, working through having robots. Industrial robots nowadays are very important. So we definitely need to benefit from China, for example, from other countries' experience in this field, and start having AI made in Egypt, like what we mentioned when I was here last time. So we need to focus on getting the experience, getting the knowledge, and we're already ready to have our AI applications, whether we're talking software that is making use of analytics framework or robots and other equipment. We need both in all of the domains in Egypt.
Yes. The health, I want to go back to the health applications because they are so important to the entire world. So what's up there for Egypt in this sector with the BRICS via AI, the health sector?
One of the most important applications nowadays is drug discovery. That's why sharing data sets is very important, because when you can compare the efficiency of different treatments, then you can come up or you can discover new factors, and you can come up with new medicines and new treatments for any disease. And that's very crucial for Egypt. And I think that that's aligned with other projects like the Genome Project, because it's the same field. We're trying to get to know more about Egyptians in terms of genes, in terms of many other factors related to family history, past history, and so on, so as to be able to discover new treatments, new protocols, and be able to assess the effectiveness and efficiency of the current medicines and current treatments.
The agricultural sector is also very important. I mean, any advances in agriculture help food security and help combat potential food shortages. This in turn serves SDG goals, of course, in various ways. So how can AI serve the agricultural sector in general? And again, the ever-present question here in the program, how can Egypt benefit from that?
Again, it's the same framework. So maybe we have to shed light more on this point, because we have what we call the analytics, data analytics, not analysis, data analytics framework. So we're there to collect data in any industry or in any sector, whether we're talking healthcare or agriculture.
Stop here, just a second, sorry. Okay. So what's the difference between analytics and analysis? Okay. Data analytics and data analysis.
Analysis is a very simple procedure. So like when we were studying computer science, and that we were told that we have data and then we do some processing or analysis, like for example classification based on gender, based on nationality, based on age group, and so on, and then we can come up with a report, and with this report we provide it to the managerial level, different managerial levels, any of the three, so as to benefit whenever they're trying to take a decision. So that's analysis. With analytics, it's deep analysis, because it requires some discovery. You might be able to discover new factors that have an influence on the current scenario. And that's very different. So you dig a little bit deeper so as to come up with new patterns and new ideas. That's why the outcome here is not information, but insights, which is very different. And that's where we make use of AI technologies and with different tools and techniques in order to be able to provide these insights or these predictive analytics. And that's what counts. Because nowadays with the policymakers and the decision takers, they need to have some predictions whenever they're trying to plan. So it's not only beneficial for them to have the history, and then based on the history we provide them with some reports, but they should be knowing other factors that might be happening in the future. Of course there is kind of uncertainty and error, but we have to take these insights into consideration, because as you see nowadays we have many external factors that are affecting the decision-making process.
Yeah, the only constant factor is change. In today's world. Now, BRICS has an AI, there is something called an AI governance framework. How important is that governance framework to the potential benefits of and harm of AI?
Okay, no, it's not harmful. It's very beneficial, because that's one of the challenges we're facing. We need to follow some standards and some procedures. If we are to implement AI, that will be beneficial for us as humans. So we need, first of all, to work on having some common ground and common procedures and common standards. And the second thing is
But this is not easy. Yeah, and especially in a group that combines, you know, the East and the South and Latin America, and so I mean, it's not a very cohesive group when it comes to cultures, values.
We have different values, and this will definitely affect the ethical framework. As you know, we in Egypt, we have a charter for responsible AI. But what about having a common charter for responsible AI in BRICS or with the BRICS countries? How can we do it? Because that is mainly based on the culture and on the values, which are different.
So there is no framework now at the moment?
Regarding ethics, no, but they're working on it. But for the governance, they're working on having AI governance, because we need to have common...
What do you mean exactly? What do we mean by governance exactly?
By governance, we're talking about neat and precise procedures and standards that we should follow. And we need to agree, for example, on how we will allocate resources when it comes to any implementation, whether we're talking in healthcare, education, agriculture, you name it. So we need to agree on how we're going to do it in terms of standards, in terms of procedures, in terms of priorities, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and it needs to be very clear, a clear framework to follow.
And now, Dr. Naveen, certainly AI, artificial intelligence, has a big role to play in commercial applications and is important for startups. This must be important for a country like Egypt that wants to find growth in its economy via more small businesses and more startups and more commercial applications. So how can we benefit here?
We need to make sure that, for example, the fresh graduates are really into AI, and they're also knowing some of the problems of the community, so as to come up with innovative and creative ideas that will serve as a startup afterwards. So that's how we educate the students right now. Like, for example, in the academy, since I'm teaching software engineering this semester, then I'm trying to tell them that they should be working on real life problems in the community. That's one of the main tasks and outcomes, or let's say the expected outcomes.
Can you give us an example?
Like, for example, the students who worked on having this Visita application. That was kind of a startup. They thought about the problem and the difficulty that we're encountering whenever we need to take an appointment. So sometimes you do not really know the doctors, the medical doctors that have a certain specialization. How can you reach them? How can you reserve, and so on? So that was a very beneficial application.
Yes.
So we try to tell them to think the same way. You have to come up with some problems, and then with these problems we have to define a solution, because when we talk about a software or a system, in our IT jargon it's called a solution, because there should be a problem that we're solving. It doesn't have to be a problem meaning that there is a difficulty, a certain difficulty. It can be kind of an improvement for a current system. So they should be able to make use of all the courses that they learned in the university, and to be able to provide a solution and to be connected to the community.
Okay. BRICS sees Digital Transfer Corporation. How important is, we hear about this, we've been hearing this term a lot in Egypt in the past few years, the digitalization of the economy and digital transfer. So how can we gain from the Digital Transfer Corporation here?
We first of all work on having our analog or our manual data. We need to make it digital first of all, and that's the first step, the digitization. And then we need to revise all of the processes in each and every sector.
And I assume that we lag when it comes to, if we compare ourselves to China, Russia, and India in this department?
Let's say that we're doing a great job towards improving the current situation, especially that we are currently revising the AI strategy. Of course, we have many challenges like any country, but maybe we should focus more on the process, because sometimes we need to work on these processes and make them simpler. Sometimes when we explain the AI and how can we implement AI in any enterprise, we tell the employees there that, and the leaders of course, that it's not a matter of doing the same job on a computer. That's not the issue. But it's a matter of making things simple, especially that with digital transformation, you have an ultimate goal of making the citizen and the customer satisfied. That's the ultimate goal of the digital transformation, or else we're not really adding any value, let's say. So we need first of all to focus on the data, and then second is to focus on the processes. And that's why I was telling you that we need to work on the challenges, because some of the challenges are the policies and other challenges are the current regulations. Of course, things are much better nowadays, especially that we're really implementing digital transformation in many areas, but we still have some challenges to focus on. So when we will apply this on the data and on the processes, we'll be able to provide the services, whether you're talking in agriculture or in education or in healthcare or in industry, you name it, again, it's the same concept. We'll be able to provide all of these services in a different way, not only electronic, but also smart.
Yeah, leading to the satisfaction of the eventual consumer. Now, climate change and AI, how are they connected? And we know that, I mean, how can AI again help in fighting global warming and achieving UN climate change goals and protecting the environment? And how can Egypt's membership of the BRICS, knowing that Egypt has a leading global role when it comes to global warming and fighting global warming and climate change and protecting the environment?
Okay, two main things. Predictive analytics, so as you know exactly what will be happening in the coming years. And second, coming up with some innovative solutions. I was just telling you that we're talking about IT solution. So here with the AI, we can benefit in both aspects. Like again, applying the analytics, we'll be able to provide the decision makers with some predictions or some insights. And in addition to this, you'll be able to provide them with some solutions, because we can benefit from the expertise of other countries or other experts in the domain.
Yes.
So that's the focus of AI here.
Data privacy, how can we make the balance between data sharing and data privacy? And how difficult is it to make that balance? I mean, we're a group of countries that want to cooperate together for our mutual interest. So we share our data, but at the same time, there are private, some data which is supposed to remain private, so you can anger this or that partner. I mean, how can we make the balance?
It's very tough, because if you do not provide the system and feed the system with all the required data, then the system will not be able to give you the right insights so as to be able to take the suitable decision on time.
Right.
But on the other hand, data is security. We're talking here about sometimes national security. So any data item that might be affecting national security will be kept private 100%, and you will not be able to apply any of these frameworks.
So I guess the success of this potential integration or between the BRICS member countries depends on the political will of the leaders of that group to allow, you know, for the full data sharing, full cooperation, full integration, and so on. So political element here, I guess, is very important.
Very important, but I don't think it will ever be full sharing. I think there will always be confidentiality issues that we should face and we should acknowledge.
And that's natural.
That's very natural, and that's very beneficial to the country, any country.
And that shouldn't hurt much the potential success of the cooperation.
No, it will not affect the cooperation, but it might affect the results of the systems. So that's why some systems related to some areas,
like defense and security, for instance. I mean,
that this should be kept for, let's say, a small group of trusted people who cannot share these data. That's why we need, first of all, to share experience and to have kind of knowledge transfer. And then for these systems, we need to develop these systems here in Egypt. Again, we're talking about AI made in Egypt, especially when it comes to anything related to national security.
Now, there are obviously economic disparities, cultural differences, and social differences as well between the member states of the BRICS. So is this a challenge in face of the success of the results of any cooperation?
Yeah, definitely. These are challenges because you're talking about different cultures, different political systems, different many things. It might be helpful in some way because you can share experience from a different country and a different culture, but sometimes it affects the success of, let's say, the common systems, the joint projects.
Okay, especially if we have technical gaps, right, between the countries. So how can, but this, I guess, is easier to solve, is a problem that is easier to solve than, for instance, social or cultural differences.
This is much easier because we're talking about infrastructure development, about sharing resources, whether we're talking data or we're talking any other resources that we need. And even sharing the knowledge of the human resources. So this is much easier than dealing with the other challenges.
Dr. Naveen, how fast is the evolution and development of AI moving today?
Extremely fast.
Too fast?
Yes. Too fast even for us. Sometimes we cannot follow up with all of the new systems and the different applications. Maybe I'm more specialized in healthcare and education, and I'm telling you that it is extremely fast, and sometimes I really have to revise and to check with the ChatGPT, by the way, so as to see if there is any good news, hopefully, related to any advancements in this field.
And the challenges as we progress and evolve in a fast manner in this field, are the challenges increasing, or are we overcoming some of these challenges?
I think the main challenge is for us to be updated. But regarding the other resources, we're doing a good job right now because we're working on being able to apply and implement the AI strategy in all of the institutions, regardless of the sector.
Of course, with the existence of these many challenges, there are great opportunities. So can you tell us about some of the great opportunities that your science, the science of artificial intelligence, is expected to present to the world soon?
I think maybe one of the very important applications is the social inclusion. So we can help with the special needs file and issues, whether we're talking from an educational point of view, providing better educational services, providing better healthcare services, and definitely providing suitable job opportunities, because that's very important. We need to acknowledge that people are different and to be able, using these technologies, to provide fair services in every domain.
I mean, we are wrapping up here. As we started, your words just reminded me again of the Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, every little two words together, they seem to be an SDG goal. So I want to go back to where we started. how best can AI benefit the achievement of SDG goals, and how best can Egypt benefit in this field via its presence with the BRICS member countries?
Again, focusing on the human resources. So we can benefit out of having the AI Institute or AI Academy that is related to BRICS, and getting some knowledge with the knowledge transfer and the knowledge sharing, so that we'll be able to solve our problems, the problems that we are facing in our society, with innovative solutions, whether we're talking about helping to fight poverty, discrimination, climate change, healthcare, any of the 16, because with the 17 goal, we're talking about cooperation. And that's what we're talking about here with BRICS.
Okay. On that note, dear viewers, on behalf of you, we thank very much our dear distinguished guests with us here in the studio, Dr. Naveen Makram Labib, and she is the Vice President of the Egyptian Society for Information Systems and Computer Technology. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Naveen.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. And thank you, dear viewers, for watching Business Insider. I'm Mohammed Abdirahim. Please stay with Nile TV.